Hello, everybody. I am live streaming. Let's see. Yep, it seems to be going well. It's late, and it feels late for me. Hopefully, when you're watching this, you're a little more alert and ready and with it than I am. I've just basically gotten home from my work day. I was driving in feeling like kind of drowsy, but yeah, got to work, got through a full day of work, was productive, just got home, haven't had any time to do sort of like, a preliminary sketch or anything today. So today I'm working completely from scratch. And since I'm doing that, I figure I may as well use like a brush and ink today. So it's going to be a little bit different in that regard, but I think that should be good. I'm probably going to end it pretty close to that hour just because, you know, I'm starting this like, just exhausted. So I just don't have a lot in the tank today, but I do have an idea in my head. I hope I can have enough sort of energy and focus to bring that to fruition. So I'll greet everybody in just a moment. Today's Inktober prompt was whale. Unfortunately, something popped into my head that was interesting to me because I didn't necessarily feel like drawing a whale or a killer whale or a humpback whale or even Tobias whale, the arch enemy of Black Lightning. Instead, I remembered that James Whale was the director of Frankenstein with Boris Karloff. So my goal is to sort of draw Frankenstein's monster today, and using the idea of the universal mummy monster as my loose starting point. So just gonna block something like that out today. So you're gonna see me working right from scratch, and hopefully we end up with something pretty interesting by the end. We'll see. We'll see. But thank you all for joining me. All right, let's see. We've got Alex, Spider Boy, Nippa, J. Andrew World, Aziz. Let's see. Buona Beast, An Average Comic Book Channel, Jeffrey Hall, Jose Elizondo, Stefan JD. Wow, okay, lots of people actually. I'm so surprised. Can you make the volume slightly louder? No, actually, unfortunately, I really can't. I'm at the maximum. I'd have to get a better microphone. I've got this turned all the way up. You're gonna have to turn up the volume on your end, and that's just all I can do. So hello to Mandela, and hello Django Fett. Jose Elizondo says, I've been loving your sketches. Was wondering if you could post them somewhere to download. I would love to have that as wall art for my room. Can't really think of anywhere where I'd upload like a high resolution version of it, and I don't know if I'd necessarily want to, just because I'd probably rather sort of sell my art, if anything. No offense, but yeah, that's probably how I'd move forward if I were to make this available on some level, as like sell prints or something like that. Over the past week, my friends and I have started forming a band. Hey, congratulations. Kevin Maley says, I saw this thumbnail. Are you thinking of James Whale? I just was explaining that. That's exactly right. Kevin, you're a smart guy. Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Just thinking of James Whale, and that is my goal anyway right now. To sort of do justice to Frankenstein's monster as portrayed by director James Whale and actor Boris Karloff. I'm not trying to do a perfect what would I say? A perfect likeness of Karloff, because otherwise I'd probably have some reference handy. Instead, I'm just using the idea of the universal monster as my starting point, because of course there's been lots of interpretations of Frankenstein over the years, and mine is just going to be sort of based on that starting point. Yeah. Let's see. Put a mic in your Amazon wish list and someone will probably buy you one. Yeah, I don't really want to just ask for stuff for free, though. Like, I'm sure that people probably would be kind and generous, but I think I'd feel a little guilty about something like that. I just don't like to just sort of take. Yeah, giving him a sunken cheekbones, but definitely like a prominent jawline, a really prominent brow, a sort of flattened off head. So those are some of the distinctive features that I'm looking at carrying over. Round, big old nose like Karloff basically had. And hopefully we can get ourselves a halfway decent looking Frankenstein's monster today. But yeah, you're sort of seeing my process of like when I sketch, and probably is a little light and extra hard to see. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I need a better mic. I need a better camera. Yeah, better this, better that. I'm working with what I've got. I think we're doing okay. I had to turn down a coworker invited me to go out and see some stand-up comedy tonight. He had an extra ticket and told me in advance. I was like, you know what? I would love to. I really would. I would love to. Doesn't even matter who's performing, but I've committed myself to this bizarre idea of drawing every night. And fortunately, he understood. He knows I like to draw and that it's important to me. I think he knows that I do YouTube. Haven't really talked about that in depth with co-workers, but yeah. All right, some questions. Chris, is it tough to pitch to Image Comics? It's not tough to pitch. It might be hard to get accepted. It's not tough to pitch. Just put together about 5 to 6 consecutive pages of a story. Hopefully your best 5 or 6 pages. Potential cover. And then write up a synopsis of exactly what your book's going to be about. The whole story, you know. But keep it to like a page or so. Just tell them, you know, every twist and turn and where it goes, because they'd be basically footing the bill. So you don't need to hide it from them. So that's it. Did you start with a Loomis head or something similar? Nope, just drawing straight from imagination right now. Did Frankenstein have eyebrows? I don't think so. I think he just really had like super dark, like he had a super heavy brow, and it like just was like, you know, thick, and didn't like let you see too much of, I don't know. It was just thick and heavy shadow. All right. James Whale loved working with Boris Karloff. He made 3 films with him. Yeah, pretty cool. J. Andrew World says, today I drew Fred Schneider in a Chrysler. What did everybody else draw? What? Like, Fred Schneider, what, is that because, like, he's got a line something like, it's a whale of a tail? I don't know. I'm just trying to, how is that related to whale? Or is it just something you felt like drawing? I'm drawing Voodoo Zombie's ex-girlfriend. Okay. Alex says, is it too late to start Inktober? Not at all. The idea is just to challenge yourself and become a good artist. So, yeah, you're under zero obligation to do anything except however you want to do it. There's nobody grading these things, so you're good. The monster had a sloping brow like a Neanderthal. Well, hopefully I can get some of that idea here. We'll see. Just let's get some of the big bold lines. I told you all that I'd be utilizing brushes one day. Didn't think it would be on a day that I was tired. I thought it would be a day that I had more energy, but this works well for sort of working faster in a way. Brushes give you some really fascinating, interesting curvatures just by their very nature. Sometimes it's a little unexpected, but it always kind of looks good. So whatever you want to do, brush, just go for it. And I'll probably be working a little more loose than I sometimes do. Just factor of trying to kind of go kind of quickly tonight. We'll see. But boy, does it feather easily. I know DC had a version of Frankenstein. Does Marvel? That is an excellent question, and I was thinking that they did, but honestly, one is not coming to me off the top of my head. A Marvel version of Frankenstein. They definitely use Dracula. Dracula is a very prominent character in Marvel Comics. I don't think that they do use Frankenstein's monster. DC not only has Frankenstein's monster, they also have like Frankenstein-esque creatures from Swamp Thing that are Frankenstein's monsters type creatures. Anyway, yeah. Dell Comics tried to create a superhero version of Frankenstein that's got some very gaudy colors to him. Very colorful character there. I cannot think of the Marvel version of Frankenstein's monster. That may not mean anything. I could simply be forgetting, but the top of my head, I can't think of a use or any. Yeah, I can't think of one. Frankencastle, sure. Actually, like a lot of people didn't like that. I loved it. I thought that Rick Remender and Tony Moore knocked it out of the park with that. You know, there's only so many stories you can really tell with Frank Castle. He's not the deepest character. You can tell interesting stories, but you know, you're mostly telling stories about the villain and then just giving them a quick comeuppance in the form of the Punisher. So I thought that Frankencastle actually allowed us to explore a bit more of Frank Castle than we typically get to see, and I wasn't worried about it staying the status quo because it's a superhero comic book. Of course they reverted it eventually. How can I help you, says Gene Wilder voice. That's Frankenstein. Yeah, exactly. I got me a Chrysler. It's as big as a whale, and it's about to set sail. There, I just read J. Andrew World's line. That was what inspired him to draw something today, and nailed it with yet another of my flawless impressions. Boy, you guys are lucky this month. It was a pretty productive day at work today, so that was good. Sold a car today, sold a car yesterday. As long as you're selling like at least one a day, you're doing pretty good. But the goal is to do more than that if possible. I like where I work because we don't try to hassle the customer too much. Well, really at all. I mean, the whole idea of CarMax is just to do no haggle pricing and make it easy on the customer, make it a easier, more pleasant experience than a traditional dealership, and a lot of my customers really seem to appreciate that. So, anyway, that was what it was like today. Sorry, I guess I'm a little quiet. That's primarily me being a little tired. All right, a bunch of folks have joined us. Jose Rivera, thank you for finding this process fascinating. Raul Julia's here. Mikey Jesus, hello. Let's see, James Gleason. And let's see, don't lie, we all know you really sell uranium to the Soviets. Oh yeah, that's what I do for money. And Nathaniel Rhodes says, Bernie Wrightson used to get so animated when talking about Frankenstein and his adaptations. Yeah, well, he certainly created some gorgeous artwork based on Frankenstein, so... yeah, he made something very special with that illustration. I'm talking about, like, Bernie Wrightson once did an illustrated edition of the Frankenstein novel. Some gorgeous, gorgeous work. So detailed. Like, and obviously Bernie Wrightson was pretty well known for having a fair amount of detail, but his Frankenstein work is just out of this world, just incredible. Who's a favorite inker of anybody out here? You know who I just realized is one of my favorite, and I mean, it's really more of like a favorite artist, but he always works with inks and stuff. Kim Jung-gi, Korean artist, just insanely talented. Kim Jung-gi. Wow, his work is inspiring. And the things he can do with like brushes and ink washes is just mind-blowing. I'm taking advantage of when my brush loses some of its ink to sort of add some texture under bits of this hair. let's say Taylor Peterson. Chris, I saw you live streaming and wanted to say I appreciate your commitment to Inktober. Peace, brother. Have a good night. Thank you so much, Taylor. And I loved your artwork that you sent in. Just gorgeous. Jack Joy is here. Dante is here. Hello, Shirley. Brian Snook. Oh yeah, it points out that he likes Jay Lee's inking. Yeah, one of the things Jay is quite good at. Tigran Pet is here. Stefan JD says Junji Ito for inking. Sure, I can see that. Yeah, very different style, but yeah, quite gorgeous. So I'm going ahead and sort of utilizing the sort of messy, barely there ink here and there underneath the hair because I think it gives the hair strand sort of a dirty, greasy, sort of thin look. And I feel like that's entirely appropriate for Frankenstein's monster because he's built out of corpse parts, right? So I don't want it to look too well maintained or anything. That would be a mistake. Yeah, brushes give you all sorts of different, very interesting results. They're a blast to work with. Possibly a little more time consuming, possibly a little faster, all depends on the piece. I hope tonight it's sort of speeding me up, but I don't know. I'd say that when I use brushes, my technique does evolve slightly. I don't feather quite the same way or use as much cross-hatching. Instead, I just sort of utilize the brushes like natural proclivity for like varying line weights. Kind of hard to explain, but I do work differently with a brush than a pen. So one thing I hoped I'd have time to do recently, and I haven't, is there's this new show on Netflix called Maniac by Jonah Hill with Emma Stone, and it's supposed to be good. It looks really fascinating and unique, but haven't had any time to see it yet. Curious if any of you have. Anyone have any opinions on that? It looks cool to me. Sienkiewicz is an acquired taste. Took me years to like him. That's an interesting point. I think you are right, but boy, do I appreciate him these days more than ever. I love Sienkiewicz's work. He's very versatile. He's very, very talented. Last year, about this time last year, I was at New York Comic Con and I stopped by his booth just to, or his table, I should say, and I just watched him work for a while. He was gracious enough to just let a couple people hang out and watch the master at work, you could say. And it's very interesting seeing his approach. He kept doing layers of stuff with different tools, paints, whiteouts, all sorts of stuff, and he ultimately would sometimes just cover up completely like something that looked amazing and just sort of build on top of that so you could barely see anything that had originally been there. But yeah, I guess he just had a vision in mind and just had a unique process, a unique way of getting there. I I guess I'm a little quiet tonight. I apologize. Let's see if there's any good questions. Obviously, people are talking amongst each other. That's awesome. Probably not going to be as interesting to watch this one when it's archived, which is too bad because I'm doing something a little bit more unique. I should engage the audience, talk to all of you that are watching live, talk to people that are watching it later when it's archived. You know, I'm trying to just sort of spot my blacks, do some texture. I want to make sure that, you know, Frankenstein's body looks like used skin, you know. It doesn't necessarily all have to be old, but it should all look pretty used. It had time to dry out and crack and wrinkle, etc. It shouldn't look awesome right now. And yeah, you can produce some very fine lines, but they also will tend to at some point be fat, and usually where it starts. Could easily be where it ends, but usually at least where it starts. It will tend to put the ink there, so you need to sort of plan some of your lines through a little more than you might with you know, technical pens or things like that. And I don't know if I'm being completely successful with what I'm aiming at, you know, an older sort of crusty, gross looking Frankenstein, but I'm trying. I'm trying. I think when I've done some more ink, possibly before I've laid all of it down, I'll definitely take advantage of using some gray Copic markers to add some roundness and definition to this guy. I think he'd really benefit from it. I think it'll work well with the brushwork. Oh wow, cool. A super chat from Mikey Jesus. Let's see what it says. I know you've been feeling incredibly busy. It's true. But what are the last few comics you spent time reading? Doesn't have to be at all recent. I'm reading a couple things right now, slowly. The latest tankobon of My Hero Academia. I've got Monstrous. Haven't read that yet, but I've got that in the queue. And I picked up something that I'd read a long time ago, and I wanted to reread it. Scud the Disposable Assassin by Rob Schraub. Big fan of that book. Hadn't read it in a long time. I guess I actually sold it when I sold all my comics, so I actually repurchased it recently. Well, the whole as a trade paperback this time, because I used to have the individual issues through the initial run of like whatever it was, 18 issues or so. So those are the things in front of me right now. Oh, also Bordertown. Excuse me, Bordertown is also a book that I've been keeping up with. So I've got that. So not much. A few things. And then I guess like, you know, what I'm working on for comic tropes, which I sort of compartmentalize and think of that a little separately. But I do have a few things I'm reading for the comic tropes show, and those are all sort of horror related in a way at this point. Yeah, so thanks for the question. Appreciate it. Oh, and Mandela Butterfly also gives a super chat. Thank you so much. Let's see. Sigamig says, I love Santa Takada's artwork in Monstrous. Yup. And Mikey Jesus says, Scud is awesome. Would make a great episode. I hope so. Definitely giving it some thought as to exactly what I'd want to say. But I'm a big fan of Rob Schraub. Also of Dan Harmon, who actually did have a hand in some of those early Scud issues. Credited as a creative consultant of some sort right from the beginning. Co-wrote some of it, wrote some of a spin-off series. So yeah, Dan Harmon from Rick and Morty and Community and Monster House and Channel 101 and Acceptable TV. But of course most of us know him for Laser Fart. And Rob Schraub, also co-founder of Channel 101, the Sarah Silverman program, is a creator and director on that, and sometimes guest star. Almost directed the Lego Movie 2 before something happened behind the scenes and they took him off of it. I think that was probably a mistake. I think that it definitely would have benefited from whatever his creative vision would have been. I am a big fan of Rob Schraub. And Scud the Disposable Assassin is a huge part of that. Been a fan of his since discovering Scud right at the beginning. So it's always fun when you discover like somebody that's kind of like, you know, indie or a little obscure, but that like ends up having a really long, amazing career, so you can keep following their path, their journey. It's really cool. Let's see. Thank you, Richard Hawker. I missed something, I guess. Morgan Blank says, just got back from an art show. You guys are all invited. Hey. The Lego Movie 2 isn't out yet. Hard to judge. No, I know. I just think that Rob Schraub is incredibly talented, and I think that he would have made it better no matter what it is. That's all. Not saying that what was created isn't good. Could be very good. Just think Schraub improves anything he works on. That's all. Hey, Chrissy. What? Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on. Chrissy says that I missed a super chat up here from... Oh, wow. Look at that. So glad to see you tonight. Hope you feel better. Richard, thank you so much. I had to scroll up. You all got to see that. I'm sorry I missed that. Chrissy was kind enough to jump in and point out that I'd missed that. That's very much appreciated, Richard. You know, I'm feeling better. I feel productive. I feel productive. I'm too tired to be as depressed as I can be. Uh, appreciate the super chat a lot. That's very generous of you. So I don't suppose anybody out there is from Vancouver, Canada, right? Because this weekend is the Vancouver Fan Expo, which is supposed to be a pretty cool convention. My buddy Randy Stone will be there selling his new comic book that I think looks pretty awesome. I forget exactly what it's called, but Randy Stone will be at the Vancouver Fan Expo this whole weekend. And yeah, it looks like a really cool, awesome convention. I think Jason Momoa is there as like a celebrity guest. A lot of comic book artists there. Let's see. Richard Hawker says, "You're a good artist. That's very kind of you. Don't forget the neck bolts." Yeah, I'm sort of doing them a little different, but yeah, I'm putting something in there. Get in there. Let's see what else people are saying. The oil pipeline blew up there the other day in British Columbia. Oh no. Have you ever paid to get a pic with a celeb? Um, yeah, twice at the same time, like, or the same day, I guess I should say. Um, I'd never done it before, and I just thought, like, the hell with it. I'll just do it just to see what it's like. With Stan Lee, and then a little while later, with that same day, with William Shatner. Sorry, it took me a minute there just because I'm tired. And so that was kind of fun. Don't think I'd do it again, but it was fun once. Just to sort of get to stand next to some people that I have admired, and yeah, got a fun picture. But I found it's easier just to meet celebrities on the street or something, you know? Less expensive. I think the only person that ever said like no when I asked him for like a photo was Steve Buscemi. We were at an airport at baggage claim, and I just said like, "Mr. Buscemi, any chance I could get a picture?" And he goes, "Nah, I don't do that." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Sorry to bother you." I felt a little bad actually. I was like, geez, hope I didn't ruin his day. Uh, I get it. Everybody needs like a moment of privacy, and unfortunately, I'd invaded his, so I felt a little bad. I don't know. I felt like, hey, we're just waiting around. Wasn't that big a request, but maybe it was. I don't know. You never know, like, what's going on in somebody else's life, so tough to say. I felt a little bad about it. Yeah, let me just drop in a line here for like some sort of torn and ragged shirt, I guess, and I'm going to switch over to my Copic tools in a second. Only celeb I ever met on the street was Manny Pacquiao at a Las Vegas food court. Tigran says that he doesn't like the new Iceman miniseries. Oh, I thought that was written by Sina Grace. Is it written by somebody else? Sina Grace is good. Maybe it's written by somebody else, though. I guess I might not be up to date. I met Dennis Kucinich in a Seattle airport and got him to sign my Sky Mall. Well, there you go. I should email you about the time I met Harrison Ford. Oh, wow. Jeffrey Hall jumping in with a super chat says, just wanted to say thank you for what you do. Here's a little something to go towards a better mic. Okay. Fair enough. I'm listening, folks. I'm listening. You know, there is a point at which I'll be able to stop focusing as much on my personal finances, and I can focus more on improving the show. That's how this show started. Was I was making really decent money when I first started, and everything went towards the show. And I have to admit that some of it just goes towards paying my bills, and it's the only way that I could keep doing the show is by paying off my bills. So it's sort of still for the show, but not as directly. And that does frustrate me. I'd love to just be more transparent and utilize it for the show right away. But anyway, we'll get there. All right, let me, I think that's decent for now. You saw me work from absolutely nothing, like just a blank paper, to sketching and inking this out. I'm going to, give me a moment here. I'm going to erase a little bit of the pencil lines, and then I'm going to bust out some Copics and try to give it a little definition that way. So there's that. My advice to improve the show: frame the art in the background instead of duct tape. Again, like it's just a money thing. I know that sounds like so minor, but you know, when you're just paying off a credit card bill and trying to keep, you know, enough money to pay the rent and stuff, it's tough. Oh, see, Kim, look at this. Take care of yourself. Yoga helped my depression. I would like to try yoga. I did try it once, and I thought it was quite amazing, but it was like sort of a publicly open one, and there were a couple weirdos in there that made me feel a little uncomfortable, but I would like to get into yoga. All right, and Juggernaut44 says, health, diet, choice, and exercise 3 times a week kills depression. It helps. I've been at places in my life where I've exercised every single day, twice a day, and it has helped. I've been eating well, haven't had, like, you know, the Mountain Dew. It helps. It never eliminates my depression. Like, nothing eliminates it. I take medication. I do try to eat healthy these days, aside from the Mountain Dew, which I know isn't great, but like aside from this, I do try to eat pretty well. My job does have me walking around a lot more. I do think I'm getting a little healthier. I'm moving towards a direction where once I get the right job, you know, I'll have a regular schedule, and I want to get back to the gym or maybe sign up for something like yoga. I do want to do these things. I want to take care of myself. I try. I really do. I try not to whine about it to you people, but it is something that I definitely like. Sort of, I'm thinking of. I'm fighting my depression every single moment, constantly, and it's mentally exhausting. It's a challenge at times. It's really hard to explain if you don't have the same condition. It's really hard to explain. It feels like I'm just been like concentrating on like paying my taxes for like days and days straight. You know, like just something where you're just using every ounce of your concentration to resolve like a problem in front of you and try to make it look to others like you're not dealing with a problem. I just can't adequately describe it. That I'm trying to come up with some metaphorical ideas that might put it into a little bit of context. I promise I'm not trying to be lazy or weird. But anyway, what do we got here? We've got like a 2, a 3, a 4, a 0. I probably won't use a 6 and an 8. Okay, so I'll start with the lightest. I'll start with the absolute lightest and maybe give them some highlights actually. All right, so let's see. I hate to be that guy. Get off the soda. It's poison. Yep, thanks. Let's see. I'll agree with the constant, never-ending bad thoughts. It's self-loathing for me. Oh yeah, I get it. Fighting someone will help you a lot. Well, I don't really want to do that anymore. I used to do martial arts. I'm kind of burned out on it. Let's see. Care Bear says, I've been depressed from middle school through college. It's crushing. I feel you. Jeffrey Hall says, no need to explain. It's part of life. Yeah, it's just part of life. My wife suffers from depression. I can't speak for everyone else. I understand what you're saying. Okay. Mountain Dew goes with everything. Thank you. Mountain Dew goes with everything. There you go. You should write their slogan. Mountain Dew goes with everything. I'll just do a couple little sort of lines here that'll kind of be meant to sort of be highlights more than anything else. Seems strange when I'm working with a gray, I know, but I think it'll pay off in a little bit. We'll see. We'll see. Alright, let's get a little darker. Actually, let's get twice as dark. If depression is such a part of life, why focus on it so much? Doesn't that just maintain the spiral? No, not really. No. That's not exactly how it works. It looks like Joe Rogan with a wig. Yeah, it's a little weird. I don't know. Your awesome artwork really pops when you start throwing in those grays. That's really kind of you. I do think that these grays do make things look a little cooler. Still working with a fairly light gray here, but wanted to have his hair be a little bit of a highlight. And we'll just sort of do a couple lines under some of these hairs to give this a little bit of a shadow here and there. And we'll do that and that. We're getting there. We're improving it little by little. Yeah. Sorry, just thinking some things through. What else is being... Oh my goodness. What? See, Kim, didn't you just do a super chat? It inspires others. Wow, that is so amazing. That is so wonderful. Milosh is here. That's cool. Zarkle NATO Pants, you missed a super chat, Chris. Did I still miss it? It was the one from... Alright, let's see if I read the whole thing properly. Super chats need a bell or an alarm. That would be helpful, actually. Alright. C. Kim says, speaking about it isn't whining. Speak and do it loudly. Let everyone know you and this channel are inspiring to me and others. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not trying to whine. Just trying to be realistic with some of this stuff. Alright. We're getting there. Going to use this W3 after all. Don't be afraid to push that contrast, Chris. Some shadows might do it good. They might. Let's see. Just going to keep going at it. What kind of music do you guys have in your head right now? I've got like some Beastie Boys on repeat, but kind of makes me feel happy. It's just what's playing in my head right now. I hate it when it makes some ink smudge. Alright. Jojo says, people make fun of the trunks, but without them, the costume looks like a onesie. Busfits, Lucerino. What are people saying? They're talking about music. Talking about music. Okay. Ever thought about letting Chris ink a drawing of yours? Chrissy tends to paint mostly. That's we could definitely collaborate, but yeah. It's an interesting. I just watched The Dictator, so I have that Aladdin Mofo song stuck in my head. I vaguely remember that. Rich Girl by Hall & Oates. Let's see. I just watched just watched some Shiny MVs, so their music is in my head. Okay. Don't know them. The Damned. Leonard Cohen. Beach House. Frankie This Time Yes. Okay. Lots of different types of music being listened to right now. That's awesome. love how diverse it was. That was pretty cool. I don't know where I'm going from here. I am kind of hitting a roadblock. I don't know. Maybe this is about as good as I can do right now due to the fact that I'm tired. I feel like I'm sort of making little mistakes. Just isn't quite going where I expected it to. It's not bad, but it's not really what I meant to do. If that makes sense. Let me hold back the warm 2 and that's a little better, maybe? It's hard to say. I don't know. I'm losing it. I know it got real quiet. I am out of it. I know, give him a thought bubble. Yep, that's what he needs. That's probably what he needs. A thought bubble. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe that would be an improvement. that music has now left my head, and I'm just like, it sounds like some sort of like carnival music that's like dying, like somebody forgot to crank whatever makes it go. That's what my brain is doing right now. Awesome. That's what you want out of a host is somebody that's like, oh, so sleepy. Wouldn't it be great if like every issue of Batman was him just going like, oh, Riddler just dosed me with sleeping gas. Gonna try to tell you about the time I beat Joker. Good night. I think everybody would like that. Nap time, Chris. I get the neck bolts, but why doesn't Frankenstein's monster have nipple bolts? Are we sure that he doesn't? Are we sure of that? I don't think anybody's checked. J. Andrew World, I nominate you to go check. We need to be sure whether or not Frankenstein's monster has nipple bolts. I made him look more like Metamorpho. The contrast is too extreme there. Well, it was worth trying. Probably botched it irreparably. Probably. Whew, his chest really made him pop in the last minute or two. No, I don't know about that. Nope. Well, now I'm obligated to push that contrast a little more. So let's see what this does. Probably nothing great. That's 6, so where's my 4? There's my 4. In Tarot, Witch of the Black Rose, Frankenstein would have nipple bolts and bolts on other areas. Are those touch markers you're using or Copics? Copics. Yeah. Copic. Copic-cetic. Maybe just the far shoulder needs slight darkening. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. Somebody sing to me. Not loving it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Not loving it. I snuck a tarot comic into jail once. It was very popular. Whoa. Papa, can you hear me? All by myself. Karloff sang that Grinch song. There you go. Somebody wants... Oh, how dare you. Why did I read that? Buonaby says, big question. NSYNC or Backstreet Boys? Backstreet Backstreet Boys, because I can't think of an NSYNC song. So, Backstreet Boys. Oh my God, we're back again. And isn't that one sort of like, oh, it's hard to remember, but I feel like it had a music video that had like either a Halloween or monster theme to it? I feel like I'm remembering that right. Pretty sure I got that right. Kind of after my era of pop culture knowledge expertise. I think I'm salvaging it a little bit. I think I just needed to even a bunch of stuff out so that I can push the contrast areas further. I think. Check out Target, one of Boris Karloff's final movies. Oh, yeah. I remember that movie. Yeah, that actually wasn't too bad. That was all about like a sniper, right? Or at least like somebody that threatened to shoot people in public. I'm pretty sure I'm remembering that right. It wasn't a bad movie, Target, with Boris Karloff, yeah. Am I original? Yeah. Alright. Don't know if I totally saved it, but I think I improved it from where it had been for a little while. Anyway. Here's my 0. Here it is. Use that to blend it a little. Well, might not be my favorite piece, but it is a piece. It is a piece. I just don't know what it's a piece of. It's a piece of history. It's a piece of Pope. Well, it's what it is. I don't know. It's not my favorite. Let me do one last thing to try to even it out a little. But boy, I don't know what happened tonight. Just, I guess, a little too tired to do my best work. Tried, failed. Story of my life. Story of my life. What was that? That was like a YouTube video or something. Yeah, well, you win some, you lose some. Folks, it's what I can do. It's been a little over an hour. Oh, good thing I stayed around a little longer. Sanity, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Is he wearing a shirt? You should write YOLO on it. Oh, all right. YOLO! Doing it is a learning process. That's exactly right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you again for that super chat, by the way. Sanity. That's very, very kind of you. Very generous and very much appreciated. Thank you to everybody that dropped in a super chat. Super, super nice of you. Super nice of you. I did learn some things. You know, usually when I try to do these, I do have a measure of planning. Usually during my lunch break, that's an hour where I can sit down and sketch something out. And it can be pretty rough, but then I'll lightbox it so that I've got a fairly loose but clean outline. Whoa, Kevin, 2 a.m. here, going to bed. Good night. Thank you for staying up so late. That's so nice. And thank you so much for the super chat. Very, very kind of you. Very kind of you. So, wow. It's like my normal process. Yeah, I do a sketch during lunch, lightbox it as soon as I get home from work, bring it up here, sit down, focus just on the inking. Today, I basically had a super short lunch break and I had to eat and I just didn't have any time to draw. But I was like, that's fine. You know, people have been curious about me working from scratch with just, you know, a pencil and then inking that, and maybe, you know, the Copic markers have generally produced a pretty good result. I think if I leapt back in time, I actually did have an underlying sketch that I was fairly happy with. And if I had had a little more time to work, I would have refined that a little bit, lightboxed that, and then inked it, and I think it would have come out a little bit better. But you know what? I'm not upset. This isn't quite the vision I had in my head, but you do have to get these things out of you. And I'd rather do a drawing that like has some good, some bad right now, as compared to if I was like, you know, doing a commission, if I was doing a couple comic book pages. That's when you want to produce your best work. This is an opportunity to be a little more experimental, to talk to all of you. I'm giving myself a little bit of a pass, in other words. I tried something. I don't think it all paid off. I learned something from it. Hopefully you learned something from it too. There is some good under this. I really feel like my two biggest mistakes, since I'm looking at it, were how I sort of shaded this brow, because I did want a big thick brow with sleepy eyes, and I think I over shaded this area. There's a learning experience for me. And then I over shaded sort of like his body here, and I had to sort of do my best to sort of match it and stuff. That's just too dark, you know? Like if I just do that, that already looks a little bit better. And if I cover up the eyes so that you can't see exactly what I've done there, maybe a little better there too. Also, if I had lightboxed it, I probably would have brought his head down just a little bit. So I can see the problem areas. It's what it is. It's what it is. But I thought hey, as long as I'm going to do this, as long as people out there are potentially watching this, I may as well criticize my own work, because I'm certainly no Shakespeare. All right, it sounds like my cat is scratching at my door. He wants some attention. That's fair. What is Lightbox it? Oh, a Lightbox, I don't have it up here. A Lightbox is a very simple tool. So say I've drawn this, right? And then if I put it on a Lightbox, I'd sort of see, you know, it would be just shining pure white light up from under it. And then I can lay another blank piece of paper on top, and I can sort of like sketch my drawing, reference, whatever you have, to sort of at least get the structure right, and you can sort of ignore the rest. Not everybody has to work that way. Sometimes you just have a sketch and you have superfluous lines, and you can just ink the good ones and ignore the rest. I have a little more trouble separating that in my mind, so I usually like to do one more step, which is lightboxing it. That's just how I do it. But can we see your cat? It'll have to be another night, I think, because honestly, as soon as I open this door, he's gonna run. He's not gonna come to me. I just know him. This is Milo. He's weird, and I love him for it. I loved talking to all of you tonight. This was a very extended goodbye. Tomorrow shouldn't be as late. I will work in the morning shift, so I really need to get right to bed because I'm getting up first thing in the morning. And working. I'll be done, well, theoretically by 6. But when you're dealing in car sales, you work on commission, so theoretically a deal could extend well past that. But my goal is to be home and be home by 6:30. Hopefully, be live streaming by 7 p.m. Pacific time. And let me just quickly look up what the prompt is for tomorrow. The prompt for tomorrow is guarded. Yeah, today's was whale. Tomorrow's is guarded. That's pretty broad. That's pretty broad. There's a lot that we could do with that. Lots of superheroes could be guarding things, or it could be some sort of precious object. It could either be jewels or a vehicle or money. Who knows? All right. I'm going to take off, folks. Obviously, it's quite late for me. It's probably late for most of you. And I will see you tomorrow a little earlier or in a future day. So thank you again for the questions. Thank you for bearing with me as I was quiet. And thank you for the super chats, of course. So take care, everybody. Keep reading comics.